Hey guys, welcome to the UF Disciple channel. Today we're going to be unboxing and reviewing and benchmarking the EVGA, I know how to pronounce it correctly, GeForce GTX 970. So let's get started. Alright, so let's go ahead and just start with unboxing this thing. So as you can see right here on the front, it says it has ACX 2.0 cooling redefined with just how the fan cools things. So that's nice. There's the box with this little nice info panel. And then on the back you have a display window. Look at that. Probably got out of focus, but yeah, there's a display window. Warranty void if removed. EVGA, you guys want to void my warranty. That's not cool. Alright, so let's get this thing open. Come on. So the point of me getting this EVGA 970 is that's upside down. I'm going to be comparing it to the, wow, that's a lot of stuff in this box. The other GTX 970s that I have on hand, like the GTX, what is this? Oh my goodness. The GTX 970 WindForce by Gigabyte, the GTX 970 EXOC by Galax, and the GTX 970 Hall of Fame by Galax as well. So this is going to have to go toe-to-toe with those. But this video is just going to be solely dedicated to this thing, this one. So let's look at this stuff. This is pretty cool. Anyways, DVI to VGA. Molex to, looks like a 6-pin. Yeah, 6-pin. And then a Molex to 6-pin as well. So this only, yeah, 2 6-pins. Okay. And then you have a little EVGA badge that you can put on your computer if that's what you want. Then you have a little booklet about stuff, good information. Graphics drivers, don't need those. The ACX stuff, fans, ACX stuff, blah, 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 blah. Okay, cool. Let's open this thing. What is this? Up to 50% off your next purchase of Supernova power supplies and Toro gaming mice, just in a bunch of different languages. Okay. This is actually pretty beautiful, pretty nice. Oh yeah, I forgot about this. Let's see what this is. Oh my heavens, oh my land. What is, okay, you guys can see that? EVGA. Stand for, I can't read this. Oh, ownage. Yeah, stand for ownage. Okay, I was trying to read it through the back of the poster. There we go. Okay, and then this is a decals, EVGA enthusiast built. Pretty nice. And then you have all of this. Look at that. All right, so I'm gonna take this off because I don't need you to benchmark the card. Okay, that's a nice blue. I like that blue. Okay, so we're going to get some beauty shots of this thing. We're going to benchmark it, see how well it performs. So let's do that right now. The EVGA GTX 970 Gaming ACX 2.0 card is EVGA's entry-level 970. Featuring EVGA's ACX 2.0 technology, also known as Active Cooling Extreme, which is defined by its swept fan blades, double ball bearings, and low-power motor that allows for the card to provide more airflow while sucking less power, which EVGA quotes this technology as being 26% cooler, 36% quieter, 250% lower fan power, and gives the fans 400% longer lifespan. The EVGA 970 does its best to impress aesthetically with firm plastic shroud, caps for all of the outputs, and even a cover for the SLI connectors at the top of the card. Everything about this card attempts to indicate quality, except for the lack of a freaking backplate. I mean, even my Galax GTX 950, which costs half as much as this card, had a nice anodized aluminum backplate included. Come on, EVGA. Moving on, for the power requirements, it is recommended that you have at least a 500 watt power supply, and the card requires 2 6-pin PCIe power connectors. For the technical specifications, the EVGA GTX 970 has 1664 CUDA cores, 4 GB of 256-bit GDDR5 VRAM clocked at 3,506 MHz out of the box. This 970 comes with a base clock of 1,050 MHz, with my card having a GPU boost clock of 1,240 MHz, which is quite low compared to other cards. However, that was made up for a little bit by how much I was able to stably overclock this card.
I was able to achieve a 16% core overclock and a 14% memory overclock for a total of 1440 MHz core clock and a 4001 MHz memory clock. Passing over to the benchmarking data, for all of the benchmarks, I ran the card with my i7-6700K, which was overclocked to 4.4 GHz and 32 GB of DDR4 2133 MHz RAM. I tested a variety of games at the highest graphics settings possible in each game with the resolutions of 1920 by 1080, 2560 by 1440, and 3840 by 2160 for 4K. I tested the GTX 970 with Batman Arkham Knight, Crysis 3, Far Cry 4, Grand Theft Auto 5, Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor, Tomb Raider, and The Witcher 3. Each of these benchmarks was run both at the out-of-the-box speeds as well as with the overclock applied. Stop the video whenever you need to take a further look at the graph, since the overall highlights will only be discussed. At 4K, at out-of-the-box speeds, the card manages sub 30 FPS average in all games. With the overclock applied, Arkham Knight, Shadow of Mordor, and Tomb Raider are bumped up to over 30 FPS, but it should be noted that Arkham Knight suffers from frame rate dips. At 1440p, the narrative continues of lower stock frame rates, with sub 60 FPS averages in every game, but the overclock promotes the card to achieving over 60 in Arkham Knight, Crysis 3, GTA 5, and Tomb Raider, with the other games performing respectively. At 1080p, the card performs under 90 FPS in every game at out-of-the-box speeds, but hits over 100 when it is overclocked. But The Witcher 3 is still under 60 FPS when overclocked. So what's the conclusion? The EVGA GTX 970 is an underperforming card if you're just going to leave it alone and not overclock it. It's underwhelming for how the card looks, to be honest. However, the card does leave quite a bit of room for overclocking, which is nice. At 5,699 South African Rand, this actually puts it in the mid-range price point, which makes its lower-end performance kind of disappointing. In the United States, you can get this card for $290 US, which does put it in the lower 970 price point, which is certainly more fitting given its performance. If you want to see exactly how the price to performance compares to other 970s, I'll have that video coming out in a few days. And that's it for my review of the EVGA GTX 970 Gaming ACX 2.0 graphics card. Like this video if you found it helpful. Dislike it if it was more disappointing than EVGA not including a backplate on this card. You can subscribe to stay up to date on future videos, including the 970 comparison video that I mentioned earlier. You can also use my Amazon affiliate code down in the video description to support my channel financially by buying computer things on Amazon. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Cheers.